Well. It's Saturday, October 12th. It's 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm Bob Harris. It's time for the weekly Ask Me Anything live stream. But before we get to the questions, footballguys.com, that's the website. It's fantastic. I hope you go there often. I appreciate you joining me here every Saturday at this very time. I also appreciate you coming on Tuesdays, 7 p.m. for my On the Hot Seat live stream that I had Ike and Dukwe on this past Tuesday from Destination Debbie, or DD Fantasy as they call it now. And great show. Lots of talk there beyond just the waiver wire. So if you want to go watch the replay of that, please do. This coming week, I'll have another great guest for you on Tuesday. So check that out on the Hot Seat, 7 p.m. every week. Anyhow, hit the subscribe button, notification bell, all that YouTube stuff. Like me if you want. Don't like me if you don't want. It's fine either way. I see many of you in the house. Good morning, Michael. Oh, Mike Arts, you got questions. Hi, John. I'll get to the questions here in a few minutes. I see there are many of them. Wow, appreciate you. Someone's at the front door. That's good news. That's always a good sign. Let's see. It's a hectic morning here. Our guys will start firing up soon. Hi, Michael. Hi, Royal. Hi, Tim. Thanks for coming, everybody. Hey, Dame. Hey, Rachel. How you doing? So we got some stuff I want to just get to before we get started here. And just some of the injury stuff and other information that you might need to set the table a little bit. We've got quarterback changes in a number of places. The Saints have Derek Carr ruled out, so Spencer Rattler gets to start, the rookie 5th-round pick, big arm, no lack of moxie, so maybe he will get something done with the pieces we like. I'd be a little more worried about Rashid Shaheed than I am for Olave, but maybe I'm just overthinking it. Drake May will get to start in New England in place of Jacoby Brissett, and Aiden O'Connell will get to start for the Raiders. Anthony Richardson listed as questionable. Looks like he will play this week. He practiced on a limited basis, said he feels good. Will Levis practiced all weekend. We'll start with the shoulder injury that he had coming off the bye. Russell Wilson's going to be available. Don't know that he's going to play. For the Cole, at the running back position, the players we're watching before, Jonathan Taylor ruled out against the Titans. Trey Sermon and Tyler Goodson will get the job. Joe Mixon listed as questionable. Seems like he has a good chance of playing against the Patriots. James Cook listed as questionable. The injury designations just came out according to Adam Schefter. So we'll get on that. Hi, Andrea. Thanks for coming. Get to the questions here in just a minute. I appreciate you piling them on. I'll get to them forthwith. So James Cook, also Khalil Shakir, questionable. I'll get to the wide receivers here. Ramondre Stevenson out for Sunday's game against the Texans. So Antonio Gibson, I see the Antonio Gibson questions. Probably a lot of those answers are going to be Antonio Gibson with Ramondre Stevenson out. Rashad White listed as doubtful. So a lot of questions about Bucky Irvin are probably going to be Bucky Irvin. Brian Robinson listed as questionable. Didn't practice all week, but we saw him play last week. Austin Eckler's good to go in that game. So he's probably the player the better play, the safer play. Devin Singletary, limited all week. It's a Sunday night kickoff, so you'll want to have fallbacks. Chase Brown listed as questionable in that same game. The reporting is that he will play as usual, so we'll see about that. Zach Moss not on the injury report, even though he had the injury last week. Zamir White listed as questionable. Gus Edwards ruled out against the Broncos for the Chargers, so clear path for J.K. Dobbins. Alvin Kamara off the injury report. Jalen Warren upgraded this morning from questionable to he's going. Malik Neighbors at the wide receiver position ruled out, so you will not have him this week again. Darius Slayton hopefully playing the Malik Neighbors role in what should be a good matchup, right? The Bengals giving up all kinds of yardage, and so it's a tough call with Malik Neighbors. Hope you enjoyed that concert. Travis Scott, I'm not familiar with him. You guys know Travis Scott? Not my lane. Michael Pittman listed as questionable along with Josh Downs. They both practiced fully Friday. We heard the report. In the Adam Schefter came out with a report early in the week. Pittman's likely to go on IR. Now it sounds like Jordan Schultz reported from Bleacher Report that Pittman's going to try and work through this. It's a back issue, so we'll see how it goes. Deontay Johnson listed as questionable. Expect him to play. Jacoby Myers questionable. Both those guys with ankles. Christian Watson with his ankle is also questionable. Seems like he has a legit shot at playing. Romeo Doubs will play, return from his suspension. So good news for him. Rashid Shaheed. So some guys, Rashid Shaheed came off the injury report, so he's good to go. Xavier Legette, the same. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith cleared fully, so he's good to go. Gabe Davis questionable too. At the tight end position, David Njoku off the injury report. Seemed like a big deal when he got an MRI earlier this week. Apparently, it was not that big a deal. Evan Ingram questionable again over in England against the Bears. Not a great matchup. Tucker Kraft not on the injury report. Luke Musgrave though no longer in the picture at least for the next 4 weeks. So we got that going for us. So there, I see there's a lot of questions today, so I better get to them. Let me just roll through and make sure I haven't missed anything exciting. Good morning, Albert. How are you? Good morning, Ann. All right, I'll dive into the questions. It seems like everyone is got some. Certainly, Mike Arts does. PPR flex need one. Tolbert versus Detroit. Chase Brown versus Giants. Braylon Allen versus Bills. I probably want to go with Chase Brown if I had the choice. Like I'm not against, Detroit's not a daunting matchup. Tolbert is the wide receiver too there now, so he's perfectly reasonable. I'd probably prefer to go with Chase Brown if I could. So I'd probably wait that out. And it's Sunday night kickoff. You have a Monday night fallback and Braylon Allen, and I would fall back to that. But I don't think it's good. I don't think it's going to be an issue for Brown. PPR Mike Arts again needs two. Tolbert versus Detroit, Keenan Allen versus Jacksonville, or Dubs versus Arizona. Go ahead and play. I'm gonna play Dubs. Jacksonville's a great matchup, right? I'm probably gonna play Dubs and Tolbert in this one and just play the depth chart. Pick 2 from the following. John Fusek would like to know Antonio Gibson versus Houston. Hopkins. Well, Dobbins, I don't know how you don't play Dobbins. He's a top 10 back this week. There's no Gus Edwards. Dobbins has been rolling. So Antonio Gibson and Dobbins for me there. Mike Arts, need 2. Mixon versus New England. Pittman versus Tennessee. Pickens versus Las Vegas. Or Deontay Johnson versus Atlanta. The latter 2 are late afternoon games. So Pickens is not questionable, but his output has been, right? So Deontay Johnson's late afternoon game. I would probably prefer to play. Deontay Mixon and Deontay Johnson. So you have flexes in both cases, in all cases. So if Mixon is not available, you can go to Pickens or Deontay Johnson. I mean, Deontay Johnson's the fly in the ointment here. You need one of those guys in the early window to be available if you want to have fallback plans. So. Sorry if that's complicated, Mike, but that's how it is. You've got 3 questionable guys out of 4 choices. 2 of them play in the late afternoon. If you sort through this, Mixon and Pittman, you'll have early decisions. So I'd want to play Mixon and I want to play Deontay Johnson in an ideal world. So assuming they're both active, that's who I play. Make sure this is not actual news. I need Scampers in here to break news for me because there's a lot going on. Mike Arts, need a flex. Mooney versus Carolina, ETN versus Jacksonville, or Ridley versus Indianapolis. Probably playing Travis Etienne. I know Tank Bigsby's cutting into his workload. I'm probably still starting running back in this one. You could make an argument, I think, for Mooney. I mean, it's a great matchup, but I'm probably playing Etienne. Is this a real promise? Cousins versus Carolina, Richardson versus Tennessee. You know I love to play Anthony Richardson every chance I get. I'd probably play Kirk Cousins in this game. It's a great matchup. Thanks for coming, Jim. And you're welcome. John Fusek, pick 2. Romeo Doubs versus Arizona. Lazard versus Buffalo. Brian Robinson versus Baltimore. Darius Slayton versus Cincinnati. Keenan Allen versus Jacksonville. So the Brian Robinson is not going to be until when is that kickoff? Is that an early kickoff? That is an early kickoff. So if Robinson's playing, I'm probably going to play him. He's got some pretty good scoring run there. I like Darius Slayton an awful lot in this matchup, so it'd probably be him over all those wide receivers. If Robinson isn't active, I'd probably go Dubs after Slayton. Madison versus Las Vegas, or Alex Pierce versus Tennessee. Probably going to play Madison. I know he wasn't good last week, but when a running back in a featured role, I want the ball in his hands. Not against Alex Pierce, but if both Downs and Pittman are playing, makes it a little easier. Pick 1, Ingram versus Chicago, or Keenan Allen versus Jacksonville. Would probably prefer to play Ingram. It's not a great matchup, but you can have the fallback if he's not active. Jacksonville's a really favorable matchup for the passing game, but you got three guys there chopping it up. I don't know. That's a pretty tough one, John. Honestly, the more I think about it, the more I probably lean Keenan Allen. Brenton Strange probably going to be cutting into, or at least has earned more opportunities after scoring a couple touchdowns in his absence. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate you. Rachel wants to know which two: Tony Pollard, Bijan Robinson, Wan'Dale Robinson, Bucky Irving. So I love Tony Pollard this week. I think he's a top 10 play. Bijan Robinson is Bijan Robinson. This is a super favorable matchup. So a couple things about Bijan Robinson. He's right now running back 18. It hasn't been good. We're all disappointed. The production hasn't been there, but the workload has. I know everyone's upset that Tyler Algier is cutting into the workload, but is he really cutting into it, or is this just the norm? 67% of the carries are what we're getting here. By the way, Adam Schefter now saying that Cook will practice today and plans to play Monday night. So we will see. They are questionable. This is according to his agent. So his agent is very optimistic. So that's good news. His agent also not on the Bills medical staff, nor has much say in it. But yes, he wants to play. So I love Wan'Dale Robinson too. Bucky Irvin's got a clear path to workload. This is a conundrum, Rachel. Pollard for sure. And I'm probably going to go with Bijan. I wouldn't talk you out of Wan'Dale Robinson if you felt like it. He's been getting 25% target share. This is such a great matchup. And, Bucky Irvin suddenly has this wide open opportunity. I think you have 3 top 20 running backs here and a top 15 wide receiver. So I'm all in on Pollard because I think it's a great matchup. The Colts have been super generous with giving up 25 plus points to 2 running backs. They've given up double-digit points to 6 running backs in 5 games. So it's hard for me to avoid that matchup. And Pollard's been playing extremely well, getting the bulk of that workload. I know he's sharing as well. That's my order. If you're tired of Bijan, Wan'Dale would be my next choice. In a PPR, Michael wants to know, Deontay Johnson or Chuba Hubbard in flex. So I'm 100% playing Chuba Hubbard. He's on a roll. He's been the primary driver of this offense. Certainly was last week. Hard not to play him right now. And by the way, if you're curious about Jonathan Brooks, I was curious about Jonathan Brooks, so I asked Mike Kay from the Charlotte Observer about him this past week. He says, there's no rush. There's no rush. And obviously, I heard nothing this week about the possibility of opening Jonathan Brooks' practice window. That could have happened last week. It has not happened. So clearly they're in no rush. And Mike Kay said that, they're really happy with what Chuba Hubbard's doing. He was running with the intensity and the anger and focus that they like to see. So this is interesting because I know a lot of people. By a lot of people, I mean Bob Harris. Dave Kluge, also my colleague at Football Guys. We were investing some shares in the possibility of a Jonathan Brooks return, and I think I was less worried. I know I was way less worried about him than I was about Nick Chubb, who seems to be way closer. Nick Chubb won't play this week, but he is in his practice window, so second week of that. So they'll have to decide by next week if they're going to activate him this year. Look at Tim out there doing his walking. Hey, Bucky Irving is my waiver wire. Should I pick him up? Yes. Aaron Jones and Jonathan Taylor on my team, but they're injured. 100% you should pick up Bucky Irving and probably play him this week, Austin. I don't know what your starters are right now, but with Rashad White listed as doubtful, this seems like the direction to go. Unite Santini. I like that. Zach Moss, Chad Brown, Kirk, pick 2. So I don't want to pay both those running backs. So maybe so I'm going to play Kirk. My lean is to Chase Brown right now. Just is. Seems to be gaining the traction, but that's truly a coin toss. It's about 50-50. If both of them, if Chase Brown was questionable and Zach Moss was 100% healthy, I'd probably just go with the 100% healthy guy. I don't think either of them are 100% healthy. So take your choice. I'd probably lean Chase Brown if he's active. 4-point touchdowns. Fields versus, oh man. I'm probably playing Kyler. Here's the concern, Dame. It hasn't been great offensively the last couple of weeks. Russell Wilson is back and available. I know they seem to be all in the fields, on fields going into this game, but are they? Just like it felt like there's been a little drumbeat, and some of that can be artificial, right? We hear things like we're listening to the Adam Schefters, and we just saw a tweet from Adam Schefter basically telling you what my concerns are with everything that those guys put out there. And this is not a cast aspersions at the insiders. I mean, you get information how you get it, but a lot of information that comes from agents, like, that's, the Russell Wilson drumbeat seemed to be coming from like agent driven, like, hey, he's back on the practice field. Hey, he's working fully. Hey, he's looking good. And you hear that little bit of a drumbeat and it gets in your head a little bit. It's in my head a little bit, so I'm a little concerned. Justin Fields, if he plays well, he'll be in it. It's a great matchup, but I'm playing Kyler in this one. That was a long way to say Kyler. Could have just said Kyler and answered more questions, but I like that. Pollard and Bijan, that was my choice as well. So nice to see everyone in here this morning. Felt like I got off to a slow start. Need a win. Crazy to go Wicks over Devontae Smith. Smith off a concussion. Wicks after so I was disappointed in Wicks, and I don't want to totally bail on him, but it seems entirely possible Christian Watson could be back this week. So I believe that is a early kickoff. So that might depend. They're both early kickoffs, of course. Arizona's at Green Bay. So I'd probably wait. I mean, if there's no Christian Watson, this might be more of a decision. I think you're overplaying it. I'd probably play Devontae Smith in this one against Cleveland. Has not, been super impressive. I'd probably go Smith here. But I get it. I do think we're gonna overplay the lack of production against the Rams. When I sat here last week and I told you, if you can't play Wicks this week, when can you play him? Well, you could have played him last week. He still got a 28% target share. He just didn't do much with it, right? And was the Tucker Kraft show. So that makes it a little tougher. I think we're overthinking this one, Solo Flex. Mr. Nice Guy agrees with me. I appreciate that. Is B-Rob startable over Tracy and over Eckler? I don't know. So he's got to be active first, right? I was pretty surprised when he played last week. So I'm going to be less surprised if he plays this week. And he did have some touchdown good fortune, but I don't know that I'd play him over Eckler. And so you're not going to know this until Sunday night. So that doesn't help you with your decision earlier in the day. But I mean, if Tyrone Tracy's starting, I'm going to start the heck out of him, right? In a matchup against Cincinnati, I think that'd be great. But we won't know that most likely won't know that until Sunday night. So if you have the Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, listen to the pregame show with myself and Jeff Mans. We'll have some of the overnight or insider info and some info from agents, no doubt, in that mix. Yeah, that's a. I think Michael, if I was just playing it safe, I'd just play Eckler and get it over with. Matthew Berry had a number I thought was super interesting this week. Eckler has leads all running back in fantasy points per touch this season. Also has double-digit points in every game that he's played. He's missed some games. So I'd probably just play it safe and go Eckler. Would I rather have Chase Brown or Bigsby over Bucky Irving? No. I would probably play Bucky Irving this week over both those guys. And here's the thing about Bigsby. It was a great week last week, right? And he did outsnap Travis Etienne. They said afterwards that it was a little bit had something to do with Etienne's shoulder. That's been 2 weeks in a row that the shoulder's been an issue. He's off the injury report this week. That does not mean the shoulder's better. But I think what we have to come to grips with in the Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby circumstance, I don't know that every game Tank Bigsby is going to outsnap him. I don't know that every week he's going to get more carries. I don't know that every week he's going to break off a 60-plus yard touchdown run. Etienne's going to have a role in the receiving game, and he is the starter. So he's kind of my default in this case. That's not to say Bigsby can't outproduce him every week, but just I feel like last week was a little bit of an outlier, right? It was a little unusual. I want to say J.J. Zacharyson had some numbers in his data dump. Let me just bring them up because I think they're pertinent. Outsnapped him for the first time. So this is per J.J. Zacharyson. Bigsby outsnapped late round fantasy. Great stuff. Travis Etienne he outsnapped Travis Etienne for the first time this season. He saw half the routes that Etienne had, according to Pro Football Focus, and he has just one target on the season. So his 65% rushing back share in that game was a season high. So every time you're talking about a player coming off season highs in a unique role that you haven't seen before, you should probably not expect, could it be the start of a trend? Sure. You watch for that trend. So I don't want to overstate it. Bucky Irving, on the other hand, to get back to the point, the long circuitous route to an answer here. I think Bucky Irving this week is in a prime spot. It's not the best matchup, right, against New Orleans, but he does have the clear path to workload. I don't know how much Sean Tucker we'll see, but I don't think we'll see any Rashad White, and I think that's good news for him. Eric wants to know if I like Wandale over Flowers on Sunday, and it's that damn close. Great matchups for both of them. Probably slight lean. I'm going to just go ahead and double check my personal beliefs. So yes, more news about James Cook that's not actually news. He's going to try practice today. Probably going to be listed as questionable. In case you missed it at the top of the program. And if you did miss the top of the program, hi, I'm Bob Harris. Damn glad to see you. Thanks for coming. Do this every Saturday at 11 a.m. Get to your questions, talk little injuries, talk some circumstances and situations going in. And I'm looking to see, I want to check the football guys' projections because sometimes they're a little sanity check for me. Wandale Robinson is wide receiver 13 on the projections this week. Let me refresh that. These things are live and change at any given time. So he is wide receiver 13. And Flowers, even with the great matchup, is probably not that high because they don't pass as much. Yeah, Flowers is still a wide receiver too. So they're both basically in wide receiver 2 territory. Wandale Robinson at the high end of the range, Flowers at the low end of the range. Really like Flowers matchup though. I just don't like the volume he's been getting. I do think like he has a chance to. We saw that early in the season when he had like some pretty solid target shares. I think that has a chance to become closer to the norm, given the way the tight ends are chopping it up. But for right now, I do like Wandale over Flowers. You won't kill me with questions. What is the best waiver wire pickup for the rest of the year? Juju, DeAndre Hopkins, or Calvin Ridley? Thanks in advance, always. So Juju, like it was one good game, right? Like, I wonder if that's sustainable. We have not seen that Juju for quite a while, right? Well, since last time he was with the Chiefs and made himself a bunch of money. It would probably be Ridley just based on the likely role. I mean, even in Kansas City, you're going to see Juju working not as the top target. I mean, it's a better quarterback situation for sure and probably a better offense. For me, it's probably Ridley because I don't have faith. Like, could the Chiefs make a move in the trade market? Yes. Will that person necessarily come in and become a potent force in this offense? Not necessarily. Doesn't always work out, but it depends on who it is, right? There's a lot of names being bandied about as possible trade candidates for Kansas City. Don't know that it'd be Devontae Adams, but Amari Cooper's been mentioned. Darius Slayton, who we talked about. Deontay Johnson's been mentioned. A lot of big, like, frontline names that might be better players, but would it be better fits? Would they come in and get right on point, Jim? So that's the question for me, is how much I trust Juju. If I thought he was going to play the Rashee Rice role, have that all to himself the rest of the season, it'd probably be him. I think Calvin Ridley would be next in line, though. Oh, by the way, DeAndre Hopkins is one of those guys who's mentioned as possible trade to Kansas City. So we'll see. Levi C. Good morning. We start 3 wide receivers, Godwin, London, and Brian Thomas Jr., and bench Cups down Sutton, Juju. Will you trade any of those starters for Nico? It's only 3 games after IR and a bye week. So Cup will probably be back next week. Downs could be an every week play. Sutton, did you like? Yeah, I would probably take that chance. I think I would. I think that's a good deal. I like that. You're gonna have, like, I don't know that you do it heading into this game with Cup, not ready and Downs. I think Cup's gonna be ready next week. I know that we've, the word from Sean McVay is, there's no guarantee he's back, but I think that was the plan, or they would have put him on IR. But anyway, I don't think it's going to be long. So I think Downs and Bo Nix is getting better. Yeah, I'm talking myself into this deal. I would do it for any of those guys, probably. Good morning, Mr. Scampers. Thank you. Oh, rest of season? Was that a rest of season question? If that was a rest of season question, I totally missed it and probably Don't know if that's the answer I'd have, but that's pretty close. It would change my answer because it was Bucky for this week. Need one, says Andrea. Dontavian Wicks versus Arizona. Najee Harris versus Vegas. Tank Dell versus New England. Bucky Irving as New Orleans. Najee Harris has the best matchup. I know it hasn't been great, and I know Jalen Warren's back. It would be probably Dell next. Like, the issue with Wicks, if there is no Christian Watson, Wicks would move ahead of Dell. Bucky Irvin is a tougher matchup. I like the workload, but don't know that I like that. And I get it if you're off Najee Harris. I usually am very supportive of the Harrises. But in this case, it's a little tougher with Warren back, and it's good of a matchup. It is like we've seen Najee not do great in great matchups the last couple of weeks. I want to say the Colts game was not like a highlight. Dang, this is a tough one, Andrea. I mean, it's easy just to default to Najee in a good matchup. Maybe Bucky Irving has the best workload there. I know he's projected highly on the Football Guys projections. Let me just see how highly he's made it right now on the latest version. Irving is, Irving is 16 and Najee is 17 in the projections. I think you could make that argument. I don't love the matchup but I love the role for Bucky, so I might do that. And again, Wicks, I think we always run the risk of, overplaying in our heads the last game, right? And so Wicks was not great the last game. He could be greater in this game. Arizona not great at stopping opposing wide receivers. But it would depend on Christian Watson's availability, 100%. And I like Tank Dell just fine. I don't know. If Mixon's back and they're like 7-point favorites and they get up, are they going to be pushing the ball down the field? I know. Yeah, this is a tough one because I do think Tank Dell. What we saw last year with Houston was when the receiver went down, the other receiver stepped up and got bigger numbers. Noah Brown would like you to know that he could have 200-yard games when guys are down. So I do think this is a good opportunity for Tank Dell, but I don't know if this is the week I need to play it. It'd be one of the running backs. And they're dead even. Mixon or Dobbins? Ann Dunn wants to know. I'm probably going to play it safe and play Dobbins. We have him projected inside the top 10. It's against Denver, not a great run defense. And like all our fears, like we came into this season and I can remember talking about Justin Herbert and we were saying, well, he can still be okay, but this is going to be a run heavy offense. And we were worried that we were maybe overstating that. Is it going to be that run heavy? Yes, it's that run heavy. The Chargers run the fewest design pass plays in the NFL right now. It's like down to the 50% range. So it's not good. So, it's not ideal for the receiving core, and for Justin Herbert, it is ideal for Josh Dobbs. So playing him over Mixon this week and seeing how it goes. I can give Mixon a wait and see week. I mean, he is questionable. It's not 100% sure to play. I think he will. But, could Dameon Pierce mix in? Dameon Pierce is off the injury report. The issue for him seems to have been he's not a great fit for this offense, and that dates back to last year. That's why Devin Singletary was able to so easily replace him when he went out with an injury, and Pierce ended up running back kickoffs. So I think they'd love to play Mixon. Not expecting that 30 carry week 1 to be duplicated this week. Suppose it's possible, given the way the game script or the anticipated flow, given the 7-point gap. Hello, Andy and Renee Wilson. So easy Dobbins for me, Ann. Good morning, Bob. Daniel Jones, Fields, or Rodgers at quarterback. Mr. Nice Guy has this one correct. I'm all in on Daniel Jones. If you go to the Football Guys website right now, my in and out column is now available, and I try to be a little edgy and pick players, and it's. I'd like to think it's logic-based hot takes, but I do have Daniel Jones inside my top 10 this week, and he is projected at number 10. By the way, by the staff, but I have him projected a little higher. And yes, the yard guys are here. I hope it's not too intrusive. Everyone who does this, so if you're just new to these live streams, every other Saturday, it's yard guys. Can't do anything about it. They are here. They do the entire street, and I'm on the street. Need one. A flex in a PPR. Singletary, Sermon, Dubs, D-Hop, and Pierce. So, and this kind of depends on what you need. To me, like if you wanted just to play a safe floor, I just go ahead and play Sermon. We know Jonathan Taylor's out, right? So he's going to be the lead piece. He had some catches last week. He was a little beat up early in the week, but he's off the injury report. I like Alec Pierce was phenomenal for a quarter last week, but that was with Joe Flacco, and I think I'd give that a little time. And now the other pieces, it seems likely, or at least possible, that we'll have both those other receivers who are injured, Pittman and Downs, in the mix too. And D-Hops don't need to play. Dubs would be viable. I mean, I'd love to play Singletary if I knew he was healthy and the only option against that Cincinnati defense, but that's not the case. Mr. Nice Guy disagrees with me. Appreciate you, Mr. Nice Guy. Pigskin Panic says hello, and I say hello back. Stash Zeke now. Let me explain. I guess you're buying into the belief that Jerry was putting out there today that they're preserving him for a late season run. Yep. I think Jones is the play. By the way, Jones has like 5 games, 3 top 10 performances. Shocking development, that, right? Has like a quarterback 28 performance. Has a little more rushing equity than people think. Like, I'm not here to advocate for Daniel Jones, but it just goes back to something I talked about throughout the course of the offseason summer, when I was promoting the notion that Malik Neighbors was the rookie wide receiver to draft and not Marvin Harrison Jr. I felt the only reason Malik Neighbors was going 3 rounds later was because we were concerned that Daniel Jones couldn't do a good job. And my argument was less than ideal quarterbacks don't crush the value of great wide receivers. We see it every single year. And I could run you through the list, but many of you who are here have heard it enough. Paul Bowe, half-point PPR, flex Keenan Allen, Shaheed, or Michael Wilson. Flex 2 of them. I'd probably dial back. I'd probably go with Allen and Shaheed. And I kind of, if you just tuning in, I have some concerns with Shaheed with Spencer Rattler in. A lot of Shaheed's game seems to be those big plays, and he's great at making the big plays. Part of that combination has been Derek Carr's willingness to throw it to him. I do think Spencer Rattler will be willing to throw it. So I'm going to probably go in this order. Let me just double check what the projections say. I think they're all probably pretty close. Allen, Shaheed. Yeah, that seems to be the order. Yep. Well, the order is Shaheed, Allen, and they're all in the wide receiver 3 or just outside that range. So I think that's fair. Yeah, I'll go with that. So Shaheed, Allen, Wilson would be the preferred order, but it's close enough between Allen and Shaheed. Take your pick. Keenan Allen has a great matchup against the Jaguars, and he's also like one of 3 guys, and the other 2 could usurp him at any time. So Shaheed, elite, higher up in the hierarchy. Tampa Bay is not a great matchup. They're beat up in the secondary as well, so just has a new quarterback. So there's the rub. Brian Thomas Jr. versus Chicago, Chase Brown versus New York Giants, Darius Slayton versus Cincinnati, half-point PPR. I'd be fine playing Brian Thomas Jr. against Chicago. He's going to get heavy coverage, and it's going to be tough. So that being the case, I like Slayton an awful lot. I know it feels like we're chasing the points from last week. He does do a very good Malik Neighbors impression, it turns out, but also he has more history with Daniel Jones, than just one game, right? He's had a lot of success over the course of his career with Daniel Jones. So I think that's probably the direction I'd be leaning. I want to see what the projections are on Slayton this week, if I'm way overweight on him or if I'm way too in on him. Slayton is projected as our wide receiver 17 this week, 5 spots ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. Is B-Rob. And so I would just take the Chase Brown out of the equation there, Andrea, because you have 2 great options. Chase Brown's a little nicked up. You're still going to have a Sunday night decision. You would have a fallback if you wanted to go with him in Slayton, so that'd be fine if that was your preference, but that's the direction I'd go. Is B-Rob startable over Tracy? Yes, if he's playing. So here's the deal, Michael. We don't know what's going on with Devin Singletary, and we won't until Sunday night. We'll know about Brian Robinson's status earlier Sunday. So over with Spears. Okay, let me read. Maybe I'm reading this wrong. Is Brian Robinson? And by the way, give me names, please. B Rob is not. It's like not like a. Is Brian Robinson started over Tracy? I mean, like so. Devin Singletary is questionable, so we don't know if he's going to play or not. If I knew for sure Devin Singletary was ruled out at some point before the game, it'd be an easy call for Tracy. W. Spears and over Tucker. So are we playing him with Spears? Reset there. And I play Tucker over and over Tucker and Otten in the flex. I'm worried about Pittman. I am too. Don't trust Curtis Samuel either. I think Curtis Samuel might end up as questionable. If Pittman's active, I'd probably play him over. I would play him. Like given those options, right? Like, because I don't know. We'll see what's up with Curtis Samuel. But he has not been practicing. Or he's been limited at least. Let me double check that. Yeah, so he was limited Thursday and Friday. So watch today, Dame, but I don't think I'd want to play him. It's a tough matchup against the Jets. I'm probably going to play Pittman if he's going. And not feel good about it. This is a trick question. Need one running back and a flex. Chase, Bucky Irving, Singletary, D-Hop, McConkey. So I'm probably going to play Bucky Irving as my running back. I would love to play Chase, but like you've got two questionable guys in a Sunday night game, man. So that's going to be a little bit on your risk tolerance, right? I mean, if you feel comfortable. Just check it. Like, I don't have high hopes for. I don't have high hopes for any of those guys. Like, either of those wide receivers, right? Like, so, I mean, Hopkins could have a good game, but I mean, McConkey, it's just like, seems like, so your hope there is Quentin Johnston's going to draw the heavy coverage, but I don't know that Pat Surtain would even follow Quentin Johnston. I think you might get some of him as well. He didn't follow Jacoby Myers last week. So I would love to play one of those other running backs, and so the question is your level of confidence, right? And the Chase is going to be available if Singletary is not, or the vice versa. I do think Chase is going to play. I probably gut it out. I might want to try and find a fallback option either in that game or in the Monday night game. And there's a big long list of guys available probably in the Monday night game. And like if you could go out and check, what do we got here? I had a list, the list of players that you could probably you could maybe get Keon Coleman, Lazard, Mike Williams, Samuel, Ray Davis, Ty Johnson. Like any of those guys are kind of available as fallbacks. I would love to play Chase Brown or Singletary. It'd probably be Chase Brown. It is Electric Wizard. Mr. Nice Guy has all the answers. You can go with those. Keep one, drop one for this week and rest of the season. Jaylen Warren and Madison. What if they're different answers, Don? I mean, I think this week I'd probably rather play Madison rest of the season. I don't know that I really will. I'm going to say Madison because he seems to be the lead piece, but I don't like the offense. And like Jaylen Warren's been great, but it's just been a hard time keeping him on the field. I think if he stays healthy, or if he's healthier at this point, did come off the injury report, you could probably make a pretty good argument for him rest of the season. It'd probably be Madison for me this week, but probably Warren the rest of the season. So sorry, they're different answers. Bucky. Need one. Chris Olave versus Tampa. Jameson Williams versus Dallas. Josh Downs versus Tennessee. Andrea, I'd probably take a chance with Olave. Jameson Williams would be next on the list, right? Like I would like to give Josh Downs a week. I think Josh Downs is going to be fine, but I'd like to take a week and see if what direction Richardson's going. I was really encouraged by the direction he started in, right? Against the Steelers when he got hurt, but also he got hurt. Let me just check what the projections say on Downs. Yeah, that's what I thought. So Williams' target share has been dropping, but it's against Dallas, and they're pretty beat up. Maybe Williams is so. I think Williams is the big swing for the fence play, and less uncertainty than you have with Olave. I think Olave. The thing about Olave is he's not been great on the whole this year, but he's been really good with what they've given him. Right, he's maximized his targets. The games he's been targeted, he pretty much catches them all. He scored a touchdown in one game. So. Michael wants to know ETN or Eckler. I mentioned Eckler earlier having the highest fantasy points per touch this year, which seems a little crazy. And I know ETN is splitting time, and it's a pretty tough matchup. I'd probably lean Eckler in this one. And I would lean even further to Eckler. I mean, you'd have to know this. The Jacksonville kickoff is early because they're in London. So I would probably just play Eckler. Sorry, good morning. Good to see you. So Mark, for handcuff. So what we've seen up to this point is when James Cook is available, we're seeing more Ty Johnson. But we still see that if Cook was out, would Ray Davis play Ty Johnson, keep playing the same role, and Ray Davis would play a bigger role? I mean, I don't think we have enough information to sort that out. I'd probably follow the depth chart for now and say Ty Johnson, because that's the direction the Bills have shown us in the past. Caleb or Daniel Jones? Playing Daniel Jones this week myself, but this is a great week to play Caleb as well. Lazare agrees with me. Tim is at White Rock, which I've never been to, Tim. I don't get out of the house much. Sorry about that. Javonte Williams, Brian Robinson Jr., Joe Mixon, or Tyrone Tracy. Probably playing Joe Mixon there. Again, Robinson is questionable. Mixon is questionable. If Mixon's available, I'm probably going to play him if he's active. Dalton Schultz versus New England or Kate Auden versus New Orleans. Both outside the tight end one window. As you know, I probably played Dalton Schultz in this one. Auden has been okay, but it hasn't been great. Neither is Dalton Schultz. I'll grant you that. See what the projections, how close the projections are. I think they're both in the same neighborhood, and it's not a good neighborhood. Schultz is 16. We like Auden a little better. They have Auden now projected at tight end 12. Like I like Auden, and then every time I go, like when I eyeball test, when I watch the games, I like what I see from Auden, but it's like narrow bands, and it's just like been pretty. When I go look at the numbers, it's pretty blasé. I'm going to go with the projections though, and I'm going to switch and say Auden over Schultz because I think that's like I don't think Schultz has been great. Could he be better with no Nico Collins? We'll see. I'm kind of an Xavier Hutchinson guy. I think he's going to get more work. Good morning, Steve. Thanks for coming. Thank you. Mr. Nice Guy agrees with that one. Texas or OU? Have no idea what that means. Don't watch college football. I don't know, Tim. PPR bonus points for 40-plus yard catches. How would you rank Tolbert, Wicks, Slayton? I would rank them Slayton, Tolbert, Wicks until we find out if or not that Christian Watson is playing. Mr. Nice Guy disagrees with our rankings. Jerry Jones is keeping Zeke. Yeah, we heard that story. Need one. PPR, Bucky, D-Hop, Michael Wilson. Pretty easy call for me on this one, and I'm going to take the guy with the lead role in that backfield. And there is, the doubtful designation is enough to convince me that Rachaad White is not going to play. If Dell is covered by Gonzalez from New England, would you switch out for Downs? Well, how are you going to know that? Steve, I don't know if you're going to know that. I probably would not. I mean, I like Adenze's matchup, right? But I think we're outsmarting ourselves a little bit there. I double check something here. Yeah, I don't want to go overboard on Dell, but in this case, probably we're going to play him. Singletary or Tank, probably going to go ahead and play Tank Daryl. Singletary is questionable, and you won't know until Sunday night if he's going to play or not. And Tank is the very earliest kickoff. Wicks, Tolbert, Tyrone, Tracy, Rashawn, flex. A flex. Probably going to revert to Slayton on this one. And again, not chasing last week's points, but kind of am chasing last week's points. There is no Malik Neighbors again. It's a great matchup. He has a good connection with Daniel Jones. I think Wan'Dale Robinson will be fine. So, yeah, I'm going to do that. And if there's no Devin Singletary, it's Tyrone Tracy. That would be a much tougher decision. Tracy would be a much better play. Rank these in PPR, please. Montgomery, Connor, or Bucky Irving. Think I'm going in a PPR. I don't know how much that changes in Montgomery for me. He's been perfectly fine. I'm probably going to go. Probably going to go Connor, Montgomery, and Irving in that order. They haven't been throwing to Connor as much as I'd like, but they do throw to him. PPR, wide receiver 2, Jameson Williams or Darnell Mooney. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate you coming, man. Like Darnell Mooney seems like such a safe play right now, right? I am playing Mooney. Thank you, Mr. Nice Guy. Sit one in the PPR, Javonte, Tank Dell, or Jameson Williams. I'm not keen on Javonte Williams this week. I don't think this is going to be a Javonte week. Not so excited about Jameson Williams and Tank Dell, though, but it probably would go ahead and go that direction. I'd probably sit Javonte. Brooks said he might return to practice next week. So, yeah. So, it's funny how little attention this is getting because Chuba Hubbard's faring well. And I hope he does. And then that would open the 3-week window, and then we would have a decision fairly soon. And maybe those of us who drafted Jonathan Brooks late in drafts or 10th round or later will get something out of him. Yes, he is startable. I would probably start him over Dubs, and I would probably start him over Wicks. I mean, and definitely if there is no Christian Watson, or if there is a Christian Watson, who seems like he has a chance to get back. Full point PPR need 2. Chuba, it's Chuba Connor. Oh, it's Jacobs. I get to the third, get to that last name. It's like these are all top plays, right? Like you realize this. I mean, the Cardinals have been horrible against running backs. It would probably be Chuba and Jacobs for me. Slayton over Wicks. I have a lot of questions this week. I'm happy to get all the action here. So Slayton for sure for me. Need 3 of the following in a full PPR. Dobbins. What if I told you not to play Dobbins? Playing Dobbins and Slayton and probably a Dunze there. Dell or Deontay. If Deontay's active, I'm playing Deontay. Andrew Cooper is not a spy. He is a good friend who loves Electric Wizard. James Cook is practicing today and expects to play. Yes, that is according to his agent. And also other reporting says he will practice today and be listed as questionable. So we'll see. Wicks greater than Tolbert, greater than Dubs. Mr. Nice Guy, all in on Wicks. Higgins, Devontae, Deontay. I'm probably given the matchup. I'm probably going to play Higgins in this one. Wouldn't talk you out of Deontay. Mr. Nice Guy would like you to sit Jameson Williams. In Scott Fishbowl 14 need one. Sermon, Tolbert, Pierce. I'm probably playing Sermon and getting the sure volume. Or at least the anticipated volume. Let's see. Bijan, Deontay Johnson, Brian Thomas for my right running back, wide receiver 1. And 2 for now, flex Olave, Irving, or Tracy. I'm probably going to flex Irving in that one. And move wide receivers out for Olave. Nope, I'm probably playing Irving. Start Williams over Fields. I don't know who C's is. Which order would you drop these? Dane wants to know. Fields, Ty Chandler, DeAndre Hopkins, Khalil Shakir. Is Fields starting every week? It'd probably be DeAndre. I feel like Fields is about to lose his job, but he ain't lost it yet. So, and Ty Chandler looks like he's going to be the lead back for Minnesota, at least, assuming Aaron Jones is going to miss multiple weeks as suggested. I want to hold on to him and find out. Don't really want to drop Khalil Shakir. Do we have to decide today, Dave? If you're not playing Fields, it's Fields. It's Hopkins and Fields. Noah Brown, Odunze, or D-Hop, pick one. You need to win badly, and this is the player that's going to get it for you. Noah Brown is listed as questionable, I want to think, this week. So I would like to I'm probably going to go with Odunze there. Start one wide receiver or one flex in a PPR. Evans, Devontae Smith, Connor, or Pollard. So I'm going to probably start both running backs there. I like Kyler as much as Matt Waldman likes Kyler. I like Kyler this week over the choices possible there, Lester. Kirk or Stroud and Slayton or Wicks, PPR and 6 point per passing TD. Probably going Stroud there. It's going Slayton over Wicks. Need 2, Brian Thomas Jr., Mooney, and Deontay Johnson. Yeah, 3 top 20 players. Brian Thomas Jr. has probably the toughest matchup of the 3. Deontay Johnson is questionable, and it's a late afternoon kickoff, so that's going to be a determining factor for you. If you're playing it safe, go ahead and go Brian Thomas Jr. and Mooney. If you're not worried and you think Deontay Johnson is playing for sure, it'd be Mooney and Johnson in a PPR league. Half-point PPR that Scampers likes to play in. Justice Hill versus the Washington football team. Spears versus Indy or Dowdle versus Detroit. Man, there's not a lot of running room against Detroit, right? I do like Spears fine in a complimentary role, but Dowdle plays the lead role. Probably Hill is the right answer in the end. I'm probably going just the slightest lean to Spears here, Scampers. Slightest lean. Hello, conquer them. Oh, overseas. I gotcha. Overseas. I didn't read that right. Or didn't register in my head. Caleb's in a really good spot. I like Daniel Jones this week. If you like Williams, he's fine. I mean, so here's my thing with Fields. I think Fields is a great player and he's capable of having high-end scores. And if the Pittsburgh Steelers are not winning, at some point he's going to lose his job. Could that be the middle of today's game? I don't know. Or this weekend's game. I don't expect that against the Raiders, but like it's within the range of outcomes, right? Irving over Najee and Scott Fishbowl? Yes, probably so. Yep. Both of those things I think are true, Michael. I think both those things are going to come to pass. John Legalvo needs 2 Pickens, Wandale Robinson, or Tolbert. I'm going Robinson. And like, is this a course correction game for Pickens? Like after there's been a little turmoil, if you haven't heard, he's not happy with the snap counts. Neither am I. Not happy with his production. Neither am I. Probably going to give him a chance to get a course correction game. Tolbert's a reasonable play, but I'm going Pickens against Vegas. Royal Rajab Al-Sad, Darius Slayton, or Xavier Leggett. I'm going with Slayton there. I do think Mixon is going to play. Good morning, Paulie. Traded away Pacheco and Calf for Devontae Adams, good or bad? It is too soon to say, the lonely craftsman. Like, like so far, it sounds like nobody's wanting to pay what the Raiders want for Devontae Adams. I don't think he's going to play against the Raiders. So at some point, they're going to meet the price. I think it's 2 to be determined. I don't think it's like totally unfair. I don't know how, like Pacheco, when he comes back, is he really going to be Pacheco? Is that going to be 100%? I don't know that he is. Laporta or Kincaid rest of the season. At the moment, it's Kincaid, but I don't like either of them. Zach Ertz. No, I'm overstating the case. Mr. Nice Guy thinks Laporta over Kincaid rest of the season. What makes you think that it's going to like? What makes you think that? Just curious, because like Laporta's target share is down, like he's tied with Gibbs. I think they're down to 10%. They're like they're down the options a little bit. I still think Kincaid has a chance to be the most targeted player there. So that's my decision point. I don't know what Mr. Nice Guy thinks. The chat is popping. Once Coop Fiasco's in the house, it's all on. He's probably got some Electric Wizard jamming in the background, a little doom metal going. Bobby Van Harris. Need one. Roshan, Watson, Quentin Johnston, Freiermuth. No tight end premium. Boy, Roshan's been getting by on the touchdowns, right? Don't like Quentin Johnston this week. Don't know. Like if Watson plays first game back off an ankle, it might be Roshan by default. Shout out to the Yard guys. Shout out to Coop. Fields or Richardson. Look, I'm disqualified from the Anthony Richardson conversation. I'm too invested. But even at that, I don't need to play him this week, right? I don't need to play Richardson. So it's a great matchup for Fields. I have concerns about Fields making it through the full game if the Raiders are winning. I don't know that they're going to be winning, and I don't know that my fears aren't overstated, and I should be equally fearful of Anthony Richardson aggravating an existing injury. So probably Fields is the safer play. Need 2. Got a few more minutes left here, so I'll try to get through these as fast as I can. Dobbins versus Denver. Yes. Might be Tolbert versus Detroit. Half-point PPR, Singletary versus Cincy, or Sermon versus Tennessee. Scampers, you have no choice here. Like, I don't think I don't have a great deal of faith in Singletary. Here's the other problem for Singletary. Tyrone Tracy can play, right? So you wonder, even if he's fully healthy, does he get the full workload? You can hear the clamor in the New York area, New Jersey area for Tracy over Singletary. I think Singletary is perfectly serviceable. He's worked on a limited basis all week, but it's a Sunday night kickoff. I think you got to go with the sure thing. Everybody chime in, please. I have chimed in with the Danny Dimes vote, but you go ahead, chat, help him out. What's up, Uncle Bob? So if James Cook was inactive, would you start Ray Davis or Braylon Allen? I'd probably start Braylon Allen. I don't have unless we get an understanding of the roles in advance of that. And if you can wait it out and like listen to the pre-games and check the Football Guys website, check all the sources and try and get a feel for what the role between the split between Ty Johnson and Ray Davis would be. And if you don't feel good about it, you can fall back to Braylon. That would be my preferred option. Need 2, Roma Dunze, Tracy, Dell, and Standard. Since I don't know if Tracy's going to have a legitimate role, and we won't know Ryan until Sunday night, I'm going to probably go with Dunze and Dell. Start or sit, Daniels or Hurt. Well, I'm probably playing Hurts. As much as I like Daniel Jones, this will be the first game Hurts has his full complement of players. I know it hasn't been good the last couple of weeks, but he has them all back this week against Cleveland. Oh, the audible Wan'Dale Robinson, Jamo Williams, or Alex Pierce. If it's one of those, I probably like them in the order that you have them there. I do go in order. Oh, was that repeated? I thought he was asking everyone else. Dustin McLaughlin, thank you, Scampers. Olave Shaheed versus Bucks, BTJ versus Bears. So need 2 of those. I'm probably going BTJ and your choice of Olave and Shaheed. My choice would be Shaheed, slight lean. Like I do like there's a universe where I believe that Olave maybe has a better chance of getting peppered with targets in Spencer Rattler's first game. That's probably the wiser choice. But they're both decent plays against the Bucs matchup either way. And if I can avoid Cleveland Brown, I'm with it. Tolbert or Quentin Johnston. I'm probably going Tolbert. Let me see what the projections are on that because they might disagree with me totally. Yeah, it's Tolbert. It's unanimous. It's not just me. It's the projections as well. Again, this probably depends. Like if there's so watch the inactive list, Zach. And if there is no Christian Watson, I would probably play Wicks in this game. I mean, Lazard has Aaron Rodgers' attention. Bucs or Chargers defensive team. Like to pick on the incoming quarterback, so I'm probably going to go with the Bucs there, even though they're a little shorthanded. I do think the Chargers got a little something to offer Bo Nix, though. For Brian Thomas, I think the Bears might be without their starting safety and a starting quarterback. But will that be Jalen Johnson? Let me just check and see. So they'll be without Tyson Campbell. Yeah, it's still going to be a little bit of an issue. He'll probably get the heavy coverage. But it is fair point. In FPPC, need 2 running backs with Rashad Whiteout, Goodson, Ogunbowale, or Foreman. That's not a good spot to be in, Michael. Like you just don't know what you're getting with Foreman any given week. They're so hard to deal with. I'd probably take a chance on Foreman and hope this is a heavy week for him. I mean, you're playing hopes. Yeah, I don't know how much Mixon will get, but I do think Ogunbowale will have a role. Ty Johnson, Ray Davis, or Leggett, 1 flex, half-point PPR. Probably go with Leggett there so I can just avoid. Maybe Cook does play. Maybe his agent is correct. Andy Dalton or Anthony Richardson. You could play it safe with Andy Dalton if you would so desire. Again, Chase Brown, Michael, is questionable. It's a Sunday night kickoff. If you want to take your chance on him, I think he's going to play. I don't know he's going to play. If you're concerned about that, you need to play Tolbert. He's your fall. You don't have a fallback. Like with Gus Edwards out of the way, like I know everyone wants Kamani Vidal to be a thing. Emmanuel Wilson already is. I'm probably going to go Wilson. ETN Sermon or Tank Bigsby. Probably going to play them in that order. And again, I get it. If you have a hunch about Bigsby, you play your hunch, right? Like it was great last week. Might be great again this week. Tolbert, Bigsby, Tracy, or Singletary. So we have the same issue here. We don't know if Tracy or Singletary are playing in their Sunday night games. So I'm playing Bigsby and Tolbert. So y'all are about the Vidal stash. Tell me why. Dude has not been active for a game yet. He's behind Hassan Haskins. Emmanuel Wilson is playing legitimate snaps in a game. He's one snap away from being the lead back in the Packers offense. Yes. Rest of season, Richardson or Caleb? Well, that's a you decision, right? If you don't believe in Richardson's upside and you think what you saw for that 2-game stretch of horribleness is what you're going to get most of the season, it's an easy answer, right? Caleb Williams. If both these guys are not your starting quarterback and you want to play the $1 million lottery ticket, to me, that's Richardson still. If you want to play it safe, that's Caleb Williams. Dontavian Wicks this week is going to depend on whether Christian Watson's there. I do think what we talked about earlier in the chat is true. We're all going to be dialed back, or people are going to tend to be dialed back because they were disappointed last week. It was still a good target share, and things went reasonably well. Royal Slade, who I did first to in all things Patriots. I'm just going through some of this. I'm fresh out of time. I've already stayed over, so I'm not going to get to all the questions, but I'll just check here to see if there's anything of great interest. Yeah, that makes perfect sense, by the way. Marshawn Lloyd coming back for Green Bay. When? Tank had one big run. That is correct. 67-yard run. I'm playing Sermon over Tank, probably. Mr. Nice Guy loves him. All right, I'm going to surrender now. There's no way I can get to all the rest of these questions. My name is Bob Harris. I'm here every Saturday. I'll just try to start questions earlier next week, and maybe I can have a better chance of getting through all of them. You can hear me on. If you didn't get your question answered, you can call the Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio and NFL Radio Football Die Hard show tonight from 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Happy to take your calls then. Also, you can catch me all week on Sirius XM Fantasy from 10 to midnight. Weeknights, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We take calls all during the week as well. Catch my live stream on Tuesday right here on the Audible channel with a guest. We'll have a hot seat. We'll talk waiver wires and answer some questions if we can. Otherwise, check out my Fantasy Notebook. My In and Out column is out today. Fantasy Notebook out on Thursdays. My Polarizing Players collaboration with Gary Davenport comes out on Fridays. And listen to the Daily Update podcast every weekday morning. Comes out at 5:30 in the a.m. Appreciate your time, man. Your attention means something to me. And I'll just try to get a little more efficient on the question because there's way more questions than me right now. I'll work on that. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Good luck this week.